Firing
Yes,
up. So, greetings from the Triumvirate. Frank back on deck. Nice to see you.
thank you.
And Peter from Rotorua,
Good morning, all.
freshly refreshed after having a break down in the, where were you? Manawatu or something?
No, no, down the wire wrapper.
Wairarapa. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Yeah.
But here we go. So, again, another short and sweet day. Excuse me. And we'll see what we've got to say. I think the good thing is so two case management clinics organised in conjunction with Veterans Affairs. Napier has got one coming up on the 20th of November, and there's a book online email address. So I think it's actually on our Ciava Facebook page, so you can go on there and have a look. And also Blenheim Case Management Clinic on Tuesday, 10th of December. Same thing. There's a book online at the email address that's on the advert that's on our page. And I think yesterday, what's the date? Yes, yesterday there was a clinic here in at Wigram for those who needed it. So good on you for attending, and good to see our case management people getting out of the office um, to meet people in the field where actually they are. Well, that's good, isn't it?
That is good.
What else have we got? Oh, so for some of the military, wrong, some of the army people, I understand yesterday was Sappers Day. So for all those people who build bridges, dig big holes, and blow things up, um, congratulations on another Corps Day commemoration. Well done.
I'm sore heads this morning.
So that could well be the case, Pete. Could well be the case. And I think was it last week? The Southeast Asian veterans made a donation to the guy, is it Mac McKenzie, for the flight to bring him home from Australia. So, those of you who've made a donation, good on you. Thank you very much. Keep it up. It's a good thing. And now we're finding opportunities to utilise some of that money in support of those who've served. So that's what we're about. That's what the Give a Little page is all about. So I think Pete, you'll give us an update next week maybe and see where we're at.
Yeah, yeah, wonderful to see some funds going the other way and to one of our guys that needs some help. So
Yep.
very appropriate.
So also last week was the final hearing for the claimant evidence for the Waitangi Tribunal, and that was an interesting exercise over 4.5 days. Quite a bit of evidence brought forward. Some of it a bit of a retread from previous hearings, different people putting their view on the same issues, and a little bit of new stuff. I think the one that grabbed me the most was Henry Hollis talking about the bringing home of the marae from Singapore and the issues they had to go through not to get a marae built at Linton because the iwi there have got some tikanga that says no, that's not going to happen, so that's okay. But the things that they needed to go through to get the carvings erected outside One Arm ZIR. So it was very informative. Thank you, Henry, for that. What else? Oh, okay. So just on that, the Waitangi Tribunal. Um, that's the end of claimant evidence. It's not the end of the process. So next year there'll be some hearings in relation to the Crown's evidence. So I guess there's a lot of NZ Defence people and those who are contracted to NZ Defence out there busy writing reports to be presented at the 3 hearings next year. And I think one of the witnesses at at the hearings during the week actually put the question on the Chief Judge, Wilson Isaac, and said, so when does this all finish? And he he went into quite a bit of detail about the fact that there's 3 hearings next year. Then there's got to be a right of reply for the claimants before the tribunal writes its recommendations to the government, and that could be when our 25, 3, you could be 26, 27 before we see anything on paper coming from the tribunal. So it is a process. It's a long process, and the tribunal do have mountains of paperwork to work through, mountains of evidence, and they will have even more once the Crown's presented theirs. So there you go. That's what's up and coming. Anything up and coming out, Frank? You've been going back to your archives over the
Yes,
last.
it's been interesting. I thought I'd refresh my memory of years of discussions I've had. And I brought out my file, which goes back to 2013, from discussions of when they took operational service off HMNZS Blackpool. And reading the letters again, it just makes me realise that they have no intention of changing it. Everything just repeated year after year.
And so what would be your advice to Pete and myself and others like us who are busy trying to get some changes made? What would you advise us to do?
Well, I've gone through all what I consider the proper ways of approaching ministers and Veterans Affairs, but I've just hit roadblocks all the way. And since 2013, it's been the same people's names appear all the time.
Oh.
So I'm just going to put together another letter, because I've got plenty of time at the moment sitting here thinking. So referring back to the all the evidence I've got from 2013. So it'll make interesting reading, I think.
Oh, excellent.
But how we tackle this problem of trying to get into communications with people up the ladder, I think you've got to sort of grab them as they're walking down the main hall or something like that. Go down and visit them, because they don't seem to want to answer the questions we always put to them. And we've put the same questions virtually since 2013, and they're always referred to someone else. So it's a long haul. What are we 2024 now?
Yeah.
Gatekeepers, we call them.
Yep.
And Pete, you're in a bit of a holding pattern too, aren't you? With
Absolutely the same thing. We're back with the Ombudsman's office. So, but the same thing with defence. It's the same people rewriting stuff over and over.
Yep.
Yeah. And even if we produce new evidence, it's the same answers, which is basically go away.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed. I mean, there's some new stuff gone back to defence, and that is the one that they've given the very muted reply on. So it's gone back to the Ombudsman's office. But it took 2 years to get something cranked up through the Ombudsman's office, so it may take another 2 years. That's sort of like feel like the bearer of bad news when I say that, but I think is there a process of them trying to wear us down? Yes.
Yeah.
Will they make us give up? No.
No.
And the reason they won't is because I told you last week, Dennis, we were trained not to give up, and we bloody well won't. That's the long and the short of it.
Excellent to hear. So that should be reassuring, but it is a word for people who are watching and looking for responses. Just in the case of the tribunal, that's been running since Waitangi Tribunal about 2015.
Yep.
So that's similar kind of, 9 years, and we still haven't got to a report. Other things have taken place. Reports had to be written by other people, and yada yada yada. The paper gets higher and higher and higher.
Yep.
And you've got to work through it all. You've got to understand it all. And the same with the issues around recognition for service in Southeast Asia. Lots of papers exchanged between a multitude of people, and all coming back with a very similar result. But there's got to be a chink in the armour somewhere, and as long as people are upright and drawing breath, then it will continue.
One thing that amazes me, all the people that signed all the documents taking things away from us never served in that era.
No. I appeared at the Waitangi Tribunal in Wairu at the marae there, which was one of the first ones, and there was ex-majors Stu Stubbs, Chetty Chadwick, Api Papuni, Kelly Tucko, and myself. I'm the only one still standing.
Yeah.
So it's that to me it puts it in perspective that we're now not doing it just for us. We're doing it for the guys that have already passed because they also need closure.
Yep.
And yeah, I feel like our former masters are treating us with a little bit of disrespect.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the kind of underlying issues that was apparent during the hearings last week. The way both ex-service people and their families were treated by NZ Defence.
Yep.
Some of them were quite, I would like to say, I hope it wouldn't happen today, but there's no guarantees. But it is not a good look from the outside, from the civilian population looking in. And I was just talking to a guy on the phone yesterday, ex-serviceman, who mentions the cause of the Southeast Asian veterans when he's talking to civilians, and they're all a bit aghast and taken back that here's a group of people who served, some of them for quite lengthy periods post their service in Singapore or Southeast Asian era, whose service really hasn't been recognised. And I think one of the issues that was one of the issues that was raised during last week, and a connection particularly amongst some Maori service people who carry with them a bit of sadness because of the links back to their predecessors and the strong support that 28th Maori Battalion had. And here's the, like, 2 generations later, actually not getting recognition for their service. So
just adding one more thing, and I also appeared at the Waitangi Tribunal in Rotorua 3 years ago. I can't remember then.
June last year.
Was June last year, right? Memory banks are going. But anyway, after I'd made my presentation, you usually get the usual stonewall, the questions and that from the tribunal, which they have to do. But I got approached by several serving military people and quite senior serving military people who actually said that they were quite supportive of our cause and what we were talking about. Our different causes, and that was for the Antarctic stuff. And there was somebody else that mentioned the Southeast Asian stuff, and you sort of wonder where the roadblock is. Is the roadblock? I don't believe it's those people, but it's obviously further towards the top and the people dealing with the political masters.
Yes,
and how I think if we could remove the dollars and cents out of the whole thing, it would be resolved tomorrow.
Yep. And I think you're quite right, Pete. I think the dollars and cents, one of the roadblocks in the chat I had with Ron Marks when he was the Minister of Defence and Veterans Affairs.
Yeah.
He pointed that out. He said, well, from his perspective, he wondered whether the general public would support spending a lot of money on the ex-service community um, but he didn't have anything to kind of back that up. It was more internal as far as Treasury
Yeah.
goes. That's where the stumbling block is. So maybe we need to be strategic and work out a way to how do we get the recognition that's not going to impact things um, in a big way, because I know the report that was submitted by um, the Veterans Advisory Board, they were talking about $100 million or something a year
Mm.
extra. But a lot of that money, I suspect, would be already being spent through ACC or associated social agencies. So it's
Yeah.
already been spent. It's just
Yeah.
actually moving it into one place
Yeah.
under Veterans Affairs. So who knows what we can come up with.
When you think of probably the majority of our guys and girls now will be either on national super or getting very close to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's no change in funds there as far as I can see. It just, I don't know, it beggars belief what they dork around at, and I guess once again it's the longer they wait, the fewer the numbers there are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the harsh reality of life for us all.
Yes,
We're all
yes, it
heading.
is. Yeah, yeah,
And
it's a little bit frustrating. I mean, but then it's something my dad told me years ago. He said, "Just remember, your political masters will forget you when they don't want you."
so true, so true.
Mm.
And the other thing that popped out of the tribunal, I think it was inadvertent, relates to Veterans Affairs and the moving on of Bernadine McKenzie. Alec Brunt, the deputy, is currently in the chair, and whether he takes it on a full-time position, well, that's a matter of wait and see what happens when people apply for a vacant position. So we need to thank Bernadine for her service and certainly getting the case managers out into to these hubs,
Mm.
Burnham and other places, having the clinics, Hamilton and Rotorua, all very productive. And I think the most important thing, and I've said before, is that many of the people who register for the clinics get their issues solved prior to the clinic actually taking place.
Mm.
And that kind of has got to send a message to us somehow that the work can be done. It just needs someone to prompt it. But there you
Mm.
go. That's it. That's the chat for today. Frank, last post, crossing the bar.
Yes, I have one today. NZ 10969 and NZ 13223. Davies, James Cyril Lancaster, Commander, who served World War II in Korea. He was discharged from World War II on the 9th of March 1945 and rejoined February 1950 to head to Korea. He crossed the bar on October the 4th, 2024, in his 98th year. There was a service held for James on Monday, October the 14th, followed by a private cremation. Please accept our condolences to family and whānau.
All right. Thank you for that, Frank. Lima 34832, Woe1 retired. E. Keen, Edward, or Ted, as he was known as, MSM, RNZ AMC, NZ Regiment, NZSAS, RNZIR. Passed away, Palmerston North, aged 94. Edward enlisted in the New Zealand Army in December 1950 as a nursing orderly in the RNZ AMC. In 1952, he changed to the New Zealand Regiment and became an infantry instructor with the CMT, compulsory military training. Goodness. In 1955, he passed selection for the NZSAS to serve in Malaya from 55 to 57. He again served in Malaya with 2 NZ Regiment from November 59 to September 61. In 1964, he was posted to NZSAS in Papakura, serving in Borneo with both 1 detachment in early 65 and 4 detachment in late 66. He was the SQMS in both detachments. Following his return to New Zealand, Edward, though not qualified initially, his army career for the next half of it became a full-time Q-man, RQMS. Initially at army schools, a long period at 3 Auckland North, and then a posting to New Zealand Force in Singapore in the late 70s before taking his release in early 1982 after 31 years service. Well done, that man. Thank you for your service. And the other one is, this is from the Air Force, from John Forrest, Tango 80011, Squadron Leader retired, Ian Michael Mike Hill, RNZAF 6th of January 1960 until the 5th of January 1976, passed away on the 3rd of October in his 85th year. Apparently, Mike navigated on Sunderland's and Canberra's, and he was the navigator that, get that off there, that flew to Australia and back to pick up the moon landing tape for the New Zealand News.
Aye.
So thank you all three for your service. So we've got World War II, Korea, we've got post-Korea, Malaya, Borneo, and peacetime service in Singapore between the three of them. Thank you, gentlemen. Our condolences to your families and our offer of assistance through either ourselves or the RSA support network if you need assistance in the future, and that includes family and whānau. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Well, there you go, folks. Take it easy. Don't forget, get on the phone, ring those you know, make sure they're A-OK. I appreciate the odd phone call I get. Peter, well done. Thank you. And the semi-abusive phone calls from Rolly, tuning me up from time to time.
Why do you get those as well?
Always nice to know that, people you serve with can still sling the shit at you. It's okay. Yeah. But stay in touch, and certainly if you are eligible to be involved with Veterans Affairs and can get along to those case management clinics, then do that. The ads are on our site, but if you've listened to us, take a note. If not, well, give us a call and we'll set something up for you. And that's it. That's it for this week. Drive safe, be careful, look after yourself, look after your family, and we'll catch you in the same place next week, about the same time.
Bye all.